Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn, and today we are continuing the 100 Dragon Challenge. So today's prompt was actually suggested literally on every platform. Everyone really wanted to see this one, and so as soon as I saw all these comments, I knew I had to do it. So today we are doing a cosmic, or I guess space dragon, and also thank you, Sarix, for the idea of putting orbiting planets. I really like that idea, so we're gonna incorporate all that, plus all your guys' suggestions to do a space dragon. So for this guy, I really wanted him to be kind of like that, I guess you could say like airy galaxy feel. Like I wanted this guy to be big. He was gonna be basically a whole giant galaxy lived and orbited around him or something. I don't know, something cool, but I just wanted him to look like the multicolored galaxy. Like if you looked up at the Milky Way, you would see lots of stars and like, I guess you could call them space clouds. I don't know anything about astrology in that case. Like I know constellations and things, but I don't really know the science behind what happens up in the sky. So you'll have to excuse me for my lack of terms, but at least like if you look up at the Milky Way, you tend to see kind of, I guess, clouds or shapes of color. So I really wanted to do that for this dragon. I knew I wanted it to have kind of that airy galaxy cloud look and feel. And then for sure I wanted to incorporate having the planets revolve around it. And I had a really fun idea that inside its mouth lives a sun, a very big sun. I just imagine that's how like day and night would basically be on these planets. It would not be something that would easily be tracked, but if the planets were rotating around its face, the day and night of those planets were basically looming on this dragon god-like thing to open its mouth. And that's the only way they would get sunlight. And then I also wanted it to be kind of like godlike and super majestic. So I also put like extra eyes along its body, gave it extra eyes on its head, and all of those I could see also being smaller suns or stars since they're bright and lit up just like the sun in its mouth. So I think I'm gonna roll with that idea. So there's lots of little, well, not little, they'd be huge, like lots of big and small stars where different planets can rotate. And I also know the proportions of this are probably not super accurate, because if you look at the planets compared to like next to our star or the star in the mouth, I mean, the proportions might be a little weird, along with putting the speckly stars later on in the character. Just letting everyone know, this was 100% for fun, whimsical thing. I know nothing about astrology or how any of that stuff works. Well, is it astronomy? Yeah, astronomy, not astrology. I don't know anything about the science behind stars, except like the basics you learn in school. So, you'll have to excuse me if this isn't 100% accurate. But either way, after we finished up the developmental sketch, I jumped into doing the finalized sketch on the Blender card, and this is where I had a lot of fun with it. I really wanted to push the dimension of this one, and I decided to do a full body drawing. So I've been going back and forth also on doing the full body drawings on these dragons, just because I get a lot of comments from you guys, and I appreciate you guys thinking about, I would, have stronger designs if I was able to show the full body, but there's some weeks that I'm pretty crunched for time, just doing the job and this. So sometimes a headshot is the only thing I can finish in time for these videos, but for this one, I had more than enough time to do a full body drawing. So I was like, I'm gonna do it for this one, even though it's not like the every fifth one like I said I was gonna do. I'm like, this is gonna be it, and it's gonna be awesome. I knew I had to also for this guy, because this design would not have been as awesome if it was just a headshot. So I knew for sure I had to do a full body for this. And with that full body, I wanted to really push the dimension of it and really have the head up close, and then the tail and the back kind of swirling out into what looks like a black hole. I thought that'd be really fun if the end of it was just like in a swirl. I mean, if it became a black hole, that'd be even more interesting. Like maybe this galaxy dragon is kind of at the end of its life cycle. So like the end of it becomes a black hole and very slowly absorbs the rest of it into itself, or like absorbs the planets along with it. I think that'd be really cool. So maybe that's the canon lore of these like galaxy dragons. Like they house and host different planets and stars, but eventually they will reach the end of their life cycle. Just like, our sun. Like our sun here on Earth will eventually die, and then the rest of the planets around us will also die with it, type of thing, if it goes off into a supernova. So that's kind of a cool concept for the dragon too. Just it becomes, one day it will become a beautiful, majestic, frightening black hole. But either way, this guy was super fun to try to figure out how to also make the wispy look of those cloud-like space clouds. And he ended up being kind of looking like a furry-ish Asian dragon, which I am totally okay with. Later on, when I color it, it does end up looking more cloud-like, but at least in the initial line art, he looks like a very fuzzy boy. So after the line art was done, I jumped in to test some colors, and later I actually test a lot more colors. On my Instagram stories, right after I finished this, I literally took out half of my Copics because I kept testing all these colors, because I had colors for the planets later on, I had colors for the actual dragon and the backgrounds, so I had a lot that I tested. So these are just the initial ones to cover the coloring of the main body of the dragon and like the little details of it, and then also the background. And then later on I experiment and try to find all those other colors later. This was also kind of a fun opportunity to push some different colors that I don't usually use. For example, like the galaxies that you look up at, they come in so many different colors. I'm assuming just depending on maybe what types of gases are floating around in their atmospheres, or not atmospheres, but in their areas, or like how the light just goes through our atmosphere. There's so many like things that I'm assuming play into the colors of these galaxies. And I wanted to try a galaxy color that I haven't really done before, or like colors that I don't really use. I don't really paint a lot of galaxies, but when I do, they're usually blues and purples. But I really wanted to push like the pinks and magentas and incorporate those blues and purples. I just wanted to try some type of different color combo that I haven't really done before. And I honestly really love this combo. I think it works really nice later on with the dark purple background, and then the yellow is such a nice complementary color, and it's so refreshing to try something different, and it pays off in a way that you really like it. So first of all, I kind of put in the lightest lights. I do the very light pinks to just kind of figure out where, I guess you could say, quote unquote, my highlights are. That's not really a highlight, it's just the galaxy shapes tend to have lighter areas and darker areas. So I started with the lightest, and then I put in the mid-tone, I guess it's the second mid-tone, and then later on I put in the other two darker tones, and I think it comes together really nicely. And this was also fun because since it's this cloud-like galaxy shape, you can be kind of loose with it. You don't need to be super precise. Like I tried to stay within the lines when I could, and I do clean it up later on. But at least in terms of like the internal blending and the shapes in the galaxies, I mean, it's so free-flowing and organic, and it was so much fun just to kind of let loose and just color these big giant shapes all over this thing. One thing that I tried to keep in mind while I was coloring this guy in general was the idea of the space and pushing the darker darks when it went further back into space. Later on with the tail, as you can see, I have a lot less pink on the tail part, and I push it more into those purples as an overall color. I just wanted to try to push it back because we don't really technically have a shadow on this guy because he is the main focal point. He's this giant, I guess, galaxy just hanging out in space. He doesn't really have a light source. I do add a little bit when I can, like with the sun and on the planets, but the rest of him wouldn't really, I would assume, not like light up, so to say. So it was an interesting conundrum to try to figure out if I wanted to give him highlights, how his quote-unquote highlights would work, but I think it still turned out really, really cool. So after I finished the base color of the dragon, I went around and tried to fill in some background color and just tried to keep it loose and kind of replicating that cloudy, airy look. I know it is like dead space, but I don't know, I didn't want to just draw like a solid shape behind this guy. I wanted it to have some type of movement or flow. So these kind of like cloud wispy versions of space I think worked really well. And it was a very nice way to, I guess, frame this piece. Because if he was just kind of floating on a white background, I didn't feel it really sold the idea of a space dragon. But then I also didn't want to oversaturate this paper with the blues and purples. So I decided to kind of frame him and make sure to outline all the main parts of the body and then add a little bit of extra background around that. And then after we figured out the background, I jumped into the planets, which I had a lot of fun doing. A lot of them are kind of based off of planets in our solar system, just kind of altered or different colors that I chose. And then some I just let loose and I put whatever color I felt like putting on it just to really make them interesting and alien looking. And I think they all turned out really well. And I tried to push a lot of different colors, not all of them to be green or blue planets or orange, but lots of different variety in terms of the planet colors. And then I put some extra little colors on these like rings. I wish I made them more like meteor rings like we have around Saturn, but I also like this because it kind of sells that godlike appearance for this guy. He just has these majestic crown-like rings, and I just love them. And then I went in and added some of those extra highlights along with a bunch of stars. Man, I really love killing myself with doing a bunch of speckles 2 weeks in a row. But either way, this guy is done and I absolutely love him. He's like just so interesting and majestic, and I just had a lot of fun coloring him in general. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by and checking out this space dragon. I cannot wait to see your guys' entries. So if you want to take a stab at this and try this cosmic space dragon prompt, make sure to post under KM100 Dragons on either Instagram or Twitter. But let's look at the submissions from last week. So all of you did amazing, and I had to highlight 3 of them. Like I usually do 2, but these guys did amazing. All of you did great. But ADN, a normal, I really love just the overall flow and feeling of your drawing, and you really highlighted the glowing effect really well. And I like your use of the tentacles at the end. Crazy May, I like that you can see the internal parts of your dragon. You can see like the bones and the organs, and the glowing is gorgeous. And Joshua, I really love that yours looks very much like a squid. You really pushed the squid look, but it also is very convincingly a dragon because you made the winged fins look like big wings. I just absolutely love it. All of you guys did amazing. There was so much variety this week in terms of different ideas for how to incorporate squids and different squids, and it all looked really great. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by and checking this out. I cannot wait to see your guys' cosmic dragons. Make sure to post them. All skill levels are welcome, so feel free to post and share, and go comment on some other people's dragons. Go give everyone some love for participating in this, I guess, little challenge, community challenge. There we go, a little community challenge. So thanks again, guys, so much for stopping by, and I will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.